What's going on, y'all? It's J Small Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bring you guys a predictions video. We do have battles this weekend. URL's Nexus event, only 4 battles, so it should be a pretty quick video for the most part. Plus, only 1, maybe 2 of the matchups really I could see having any type of real impact coming out of the weekend. But hey, listen, if there's battles to talk about, we are going to talk about battles. So without further ado, let's get right into the event. So we're going to go pretty quick through these first 3. As I said, not the craziest 4-pack of battles. First one is the most random matchup, which is Kid Chaos versus Real Deal. I got Kid Chaos 2-1, if not 3-0 clear. Ever since he had momentum back when he battled Verb on Lightwork, 2022, he ended up being on volume. He lost to Jerry West. I feel like that's what ended up cutting off a good amount of his momentum. But still always solid. I feel like I never see Kid Chaos be too impactful. I also never see him be just straight up bad. He just is solid. And then Real Deal, on the other hand, has not been solid. You look at his last 2 URL battles. Dice was pretty much his last URL battle versus Crucible graduate who had never had a live 3-rounder, and he cleared Real Deal. And then before that was Nun, another kind of step down in comp, and that's a debatable battle. A lot of people had Nun live. I personally had Real Deal, but the form hasn't been there for me to bet on him. Not the craziest battle, but like I said, Kid Chaos has been better recently, so I have him winning. From there, you have O-Red versus Swervo, which to me is a little more interesting because I think Swervo is going to bounce back after being terrible on Gnome in the surprise battle versus franchise. That is not the only time he's been bad on Gnome. He had the 2-on-2 surprise battle at Gnome Impact the year before. He was really bad on that. So anyone that's very down on Swervo stock right now really can't be mad at you. He earned his way up after great showings versus Cortez, versus Chess. Granted, they were at home. You know what I'm saying? Very good 3rd round versus Tay-Rock in a light work. I bet most people didn't even know he battled Tay-Rock. So he's done good versus vets before, but he has not channeled that into the big streaming looks. Now, this is streamed as well, but it's going to be smaller room. I would assume Orlando, because that's where they shoot pretty much most of their app content. I guess it does, to an extent, depend on the level that O-Red comes at, because when he battled Kid Chaos on the app-only event in Orlando, he was fantastic in that. So he has the full capabilities of beating Swerve, but of course, this battle matters more for Swerve's trajectory. This is kind of just a battle for O-Red. For Swerve, everything really matters at this point, especially coming after a very bad performance on Gnome. So I have Swerve 2-1. I actually think it's the second best battle here. One of the battles that I am somewhat looking forward to, right? It could be a dud as well, but I personally like the matchup. I think they could actually bar out and surprise some people. And then you have Loso versus Jackboy Main. And there's one thing, I'm pretty not critical of Jackboy. I'm honest, if anything, about some of the wins and losses in his career. A lot of years are kind of throwaway years for the most part. You'll get a couple big wins from him here and there that kind of reminds you of 2016, 2017, when he looked like he could be a future top tier one day. I think we are kind of far from that, but particularly versus Christian battle rappers, him versus Oops, great performance. Him versus Saga, a W for him, another good performance. At one time, he was the self-proclaimed arch nemesis of A-Ward. I'm not really sure if that was ever true. Actually, I know it's not, but he has, when he has this whole the devil moniker, right, versus these Christian battlers, he's had a lot of success. So now he gets to battle Losa, you know what I'm saying, who is obviously one of the better, with A-Ward, one of the better talents of the Horsemen. So there's a couple things that you got to look at there. Loso, as of recent, has battled he's just battling a lot. He was good versus Rock and Geechee, the whole, if you agree with the judge votes or not, either way, we can all agree that he was very good in those battles. And I think as of right now, Loso can reach higher highs than Jackboy. But like I said, he's been busy, and this is a particular matchup that versus the Christian battlers, Jackboy's been good. So I'm actually going to go Jackboy 2-1. I think it's going to be debatable. If Loso wins, I wouldn't be too surprised. But he's been busy. I saw he just got announced versus Prez Mafia, maybe another battle in there too. So I'm sure that this isn't on the forefront of very important battle, you know what I'm saying? Not that he's not going to treat it with a level of effort. I just see Jack treating it with more importance. And that's why I have him winning this battle. And that leaves you with the main event, which is by far the most interesting battle on the card. That is JC versus Yunus. And there's a few things to talk about, I think, on either side, but most of that noise is on Yunus. Most of the pressure is on Yunus coming into this battle. And the focus is still, although he did just win a 1-rounder versus EK on OSBL, the main focus is still on the 2 battles before that, where he lost the 3-rounder of franchise, then he lost the 1-rounder at home to Holmesy. He actually was pretty good versus franchise and got that 3rd. So he really lost 3 or 4 rounds, which usually wouldn't be a lot, but he is one of the premier up-and-comers on URL. At one point was #1 when the franchise battle happened. He had all the hype to win that battle clear. The Yunus for Gnome campaign, which I think is the main thing that kind of ended up bringing the most criticism, is that he's campaigning for Gnome. There's many people on his side saying he should be on there. He should be on there, even with a limited body of work, right? And even though talent-wise, it could have had those capabilities. I mean, we saw how the surprise could turn out, right? So could he have done good? Of course, but when you're the #1 prospect and you've made this noise, you're a heavy favorite going into a battle, you're campaigning for Gnome, the praise is higher than all the other up-and-comers, right? And you're getting more positivity than anyone. But when things don't go the way it's supposed to go, when you don't win the battle that you're predicted clearly to win, the criticism is just as loud too, because you're #1. The praise is loud. The critique is loud. So that's why people have really been hung up on these 2 battles. I can't really blame them too much, right? Expectations come with different levels of greatness. Not saying that he's achieved greatness, right? But he's already made it to URL. He's had a great performance versus Miss Hustle, other wins, you know what I'm saying, on and off league. So if you want that expectation, I'm going to be good, I'm going to make it to Gnomes and bigger cards, when things go the wrong way, it's going to be just as loud. So that's really been the synopsis of the last noise on Yunus for the last few months. People talking a bunch about, will his style translate? Does he have to adapt things coming off those losses? And now, like I said, he's faced a Miss Hustle. But now you're facing a top tier who's in your lane with JC, a writer, one of the best ever at that. So it's a matchup that for him I think is particularly important. All eyes are on him for this, and it's streamed. You know what I'm saying? And people are going to watch a stream JC battle. Then you got the noise on your name. That's what makes this the main event. And then you look at the JC side of things, right? So Yunus needs a win. He's going to be battling a writer. He needs to show people that he can adapt. All those different things that people have been talking about with Yunus. On the JC side of things, talked about him just a bit in the bad news video, him versus bad news. And listen, some people disagreed with me in the comments. I had news winning that battle, but JC's great. You know what I'm saying? I talked about in there. His second is the round of the battle. And I feel like I've been critiquing his last year and a half or so, 2 years, and I do feel like for most of his career, his bread and butter was he battled a ton, way more frequent. He gave a lot of shots. He battled down a lot, but he won 98% of them, and dominantly at that. Like his comp wasn't always the highest, but he would have 10 to 12 up-and-comers, mid-tiers, and he would just clear them all. And that's just still not easy to do, even if it's not top-tier comp, to just win 10 battles in a row multiple times. However, over that last year and a half, 2 years I talked about, I don't think that he's had the same just dominant effects. Now, he's beaten the likes of EK, E. Farrell, there's probably a couple other battles I'm forgetting in there. Hasn't had too many high-profile looks, but I look at battles like Klutz and Bad News where he's pretty good, but I had him on the losing side of both of those battles, and it's not like a huge, crazy indictment on him, but it's not prime JC work to kind of have debatables with, or let alone losses to guys at this level, which is, in my opinion, because there's a JC fan out there in every YouTube comment section that's got him 5,000-0 Cassidy style. So, there's some subjectivity there, but I can only speak on what I've seen. So, I've been a little like this with JC, but with the Bad News performance, I gotta say that second was special. And of course, if he can take that and get kind of 3 rounds of that, you know what I'm saying, or at least 2 rounds of that, then he's just prime JC, right? Then he's just fantastic again. So he has all the capabilities of winning this battle. I believe that he's the favorite going into it, which he should, considering kind of the noise around Yunus's name recently. But I'm a big believer in battle rap that you never get too low with the lows or too high with the highs. So although Yunus did have those 2 losses, I do think he could have learned from it, and I think this is going to be a debatable battle one way or another, just because I think Yunus needs the win so bad, and JC is a pro where he is going to show up to this matchup at a certain level. In a weird way, it's one of the more important matchups JC's had in some time, just because he hasn't really been battling any other top tier ops for the most part. So I expect him to be one of his better versions, and Yunus has to be one of his better versions. And I would speak to angling, because I think that would usually be an advantage that Yunus would have over another writer. But JC's been angling a little bit too. Ever since the Sharon battle where he angled very good in the second and third, you've seen a little bit more of that tailored attack. But I am going to go Yunus 2-1 edge. Which to some might be crazy, but I just think he is due for another look in the right direction, because he did build all that momentum for a reason. He is immensely talented. And then also this, assuming, right, because it's got to be, I think, in Orlando, it's going to be Adam Martinez, right? So it's a situation where there's so much pressure on him, you would just have to think that he's going to rise to this occasion. to at least some level. And I'm just not as confident in JC clearly closing out versus lower comp like I used to. So I have Yunus 2-1 edge. Good chance I could be wrong, but I think it is going to be the most exciting battle on this card, obviously, and very easily the battle of the night. And that is my full predictions here for the Nexus event for URL. Like I said, not the craziest. And then after it happens, since it is streamed, I'm probably not going to do a recap on all four. If there's a standout battle, like if JC and Yunus turns out to be, by far battle of the night better than the rest, I'll probably talk about the other three, give a quick, what my results were, but then do like a JC versus Yunus bar for bar or something of that nature. But, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section down below, particularly about JC versus Yunus. Do you think I'm crazy to predict Yunus over JC? You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with kind of JC not being the same over the last little bit of time? Still good, but just not that same clearing this level of competition no matter what. And then any of the other matchups, Loso, Jackboy, Swervo, Red, you have any takes, I'm down to discuss in the comments down below. But it's been J Smo Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.